Hello again, this is Tom Geisler, and this is my ASD journey. In this segment, what I wanted to do was talk about my experiences, but also the experiences of others I've talked about. There's a real similarity to this whole progression of experiencing life, not knowing, not getting diagnosed that you're autistic, all the struggles, depending on when you suspect or someone helps you identify that there's an autism disorder possibility. You know, there's that segment before that point. To me, I went for 59 years till I reached the point where I said, I think this might be something, I think this could be related to Asperger's syndrome, or that's what came to mind. And the reason that came to mind for me was, one, I was in a crisis just in life in general at that point in my life. A lot of it had to do with where I was working. A lot of it had to do with just circumstances of degrading or deteriorating quality of life for 10 years or more. And but a big component of suspecting Asperger's syndrome was a discussion I had with a coworker about 4 or 5 years earlier about her son and his what school was doing with him to help him learn social skills and things, because he was an Aspie. And at that time, I had something just really strike a very strange feeling, an emotion or something. I have alexithymia, so I really have a hard time understanding feelings, why they're caused and everything. And I had to be a part of why I felt something. I didn't know what it was. I mean, looking back, I discounted it because I was comparing her son's traits and needs with how I kind of remembered myself as a kid, which was an invalid memory because I was blocking the bad in a lot of ways. So I kind of looked at it and went, I feel something really strong here, but it can't be real. So zoom ahead then about 4 years. And before I go to that point that I started asking that questions, all that time up to that moment at work where I thought I was going to lose my job and realized it was because of something I was doing, I'm sort of addressing, I'm hoping people that are out there who are going, something has been off, something's been wrong. I've noticed things I do differently, or responses of people, the way people respond to me, or, it can be very negative things. It can be weird, positive things. They like me because of my personality, because I'm quirky and I say funny things and, or whatever, So it wasn't always a terrible life experience. I mean, unfortunately, I had a abusive father. I think he was a narcissist. I can't swear to that because he was never diagnosed or anything. But that was the kind of pressure that I was under on top of the autistic struggles, And but I basically learned to shut it all off, and then that's part of the alexithymia. I shut down permanently, basically, parts of me to cope. But I always still knew it's like I didn't want to be that way. I knew there was something. There's terrible conflicts I had with not knowing myself, trying to find myself, and yet trying to deny myself. I mean, it was just a constant dysfunctional process because of I thought that who I was a bad, even evil person at times. I thought this is a punishment. Life is a punishment. And I mean, this is as a young child. So, boy, I could go into a lot of details about that. But everybody's different. But one thing very similar is everybody seems to be searching for something. And it's not an answer that you're going to find by an intuitive understanding. You're not going to be able to go, oh, neurologically, I'm not processing this. You know what I mean? You don't have that kind of an insight. Yourself can't watch itself. You know, you can't look into your own eyes in a way to say it. But we all seem to be on. We seem to always be. I remember going to the doctor, you know, I mean, it's like, maybe it's depression. You see all the stuff about Prozac and everything, go, oh, people feel better. It's like, well, I'd like to feel better. So you go and say, I've been feeling this. And they go, well, that sounds like depression, you know, because you're using the words and everything that we don't have an autistic vocabulary. We don't have a word different for anxiety or a different word for stress or overstimulation or loud or, you know what I mean, or because the words that we're using, even though they're the same words, they have a different meaning because they're rooted in a different life experience. So anyway, so there's this lifetime, you know, for some they're diagnosed at 22 or 20, and, you know, they're out of high school, but they're adults and they finally piece it all together. I think it's easier now that there's a lot more information about it, but you know, this was 55 years ago or more, you know, that I'm talking about. And just in school, they didn't know what to look for, at least in my terms, in my condition. Although I was diagnosed at around 11 with ADHD, dyslexia, they said cross dominance, and suspected brain damage from hypoxia when I was born. So I had a lot of stuff going on. I was considered learning disabled then. They didn't think I would ever graduate from high school. At least not my parents, but the people that diagnosed me actually told my parents that. Like, so you know, this is bad enough that he might not be able to finish school. Well, that sets different dynamics up. Whether it was, you know, I mean, that changes lots of things at home. So I reached a point, I had pieced enough things together, I had gone enough dead-end searches, you know, that this isn't it, this isn't it, this isn't it. And it was finally when my coworker said something about her Aspie son that I made a connection. And it was when I was in crisis at work when I finally realized, wow, this is a communication breakdown because of, I can tell by the way she's responding, she totally misunderstood or something else was expressed by the way she's responding that I didn't think I said. But apparently, you know, I mean, it just was in that situation where I know she isn't making it up and something really happened here and I just kind of went, this is me. That's when I also reflected back onto the Asperger's syndrome and said, I need to check into that. You know, this isn't just going to, it blew over. I worked there for another year and something after that, but I realized then that it was now when, you know, it was I had a lead. I maybe it's because I had closed it out all my life, but it was finally in my face and I couldn't deny it anymore. So that's when I reached the point that I said, I'm going to check into Asperger's. So that's going to be the next segment from there on. So thank you for joining me a little bit over here. And we'll continue this. Thank you for watching. This is Tom Geisler, my ASD Journal. Good day.